want to take a slightly different tack for the next few minutes. This is something I spotted from NPR, National Public Radio in the United States, an absolutely astonishing article, which is 5 ways to cope with the stressful news cycle. People are dying in Ukraine, okay? There are tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people fleeing for their lives, and this American news network decides that the world seems to have shifted. It's a shock to the system. There's so many questions than answers. Any more cliches you want to put in this? We've been asking ourselves, what does this mean for my life? What can I do about it? What we have to offer you is the simple truth that sometimes you don't have all the answers. It's okay to look for what you can control and seek comfort where you can. It has a 5-point plan. Breathe, always helpful. Get moving. Nourish yourself. The kitchen is a safe space for a lot of us. Maybe this is the weekend where you finally recreate Grandpa's famous lasagna, or learn how to make a prettier pie, or maybe just lose yourself in some kitchen organisation. Stay connected. When the news is scary, it's easy to get lost in our own heads. Reach out to loved ones, or sign off. Remember that it's okay not to be plugged into the news. By turning off your alerts or checking the headlines once or twice a day, you may be able to feel more grounded and prioritise yourself and your loved ones. Listen, I don't want anybody to be stressed. I don't want anybody to be annoyed or anxious about this, but I mean, this is about the people of Ukraine. This is not about people sitting in safe places in the UK or the United States. I just think this is outrageous, basically, to even publish this. And I mean, look, I believe in free speech. I believe in a free press. I think people should be able to say what they want to within the law. But I just saw that and thought, you know, how ridiculously introverted and woke. Let's talk about this with Noah Khogali. He's a political commentator with Young Voices. Noah, you're very welcome to Talk Radio. How are you this afternoon?
Very well, Peter. How are you?
Very well, thanks, Noah. Tell me what you thought of this article. Presumably you had a read of it.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it just seems a little bit, well, self-regarding. It's all about me. It's all about me. It's not all about me. It's about the people of Ukraine.
I do think it's really important as well to point out, I did Google it. I Googled, I'm stressed about Ukraine, just to see what would come up. And it turns out that NPR aren't the only ones. CNN put one up, Fox put one up, Bloomberg did. And there just came this long list of US-based media websites, all just telling you how to deal with your personal stress about Ukraine, like the world was some massive theatre in which you were playing the main part, which was really, really odd. And the one thing, it was the last point I think you said there, that feels the worst to me is the idea that you should just be able to switch off from this. I would take a little bit of a different tack to you. I think you should be upset. I think you should be pretty stressed, and I think you should be quite anxious. Putin is now talking quite publicly about the nuclear weapons and putting them on high alert, which may not mean a huge amount of practicality, but as a message, that should stress everybody out. It should upset you when you see Ukrainian children dying in the street. It should upset you when you see apartment blocks bombed. That should be something that's stressful.
I saw that High Priestess of Woke, Holly Willoughby, tweeting the other day saying, how do I talk to my children about Ukraine? As if this is somehow, you know, like an imposition. I mean, there are so many good outlets. There's First News, for example, which is a really good publication for children, more sort of slightly older children between sort of 7 and 12. First News is a great publication, can simplify it, can make it clear that, you know, this is far away. It's not happening here in this country. You know, I've read articles in that publication about Islamic fundamentalism, for example, you know, people, suicide bombs, all sorts of very distressing things that can actually be you know, distilled and discussed with people, especially children. I mean, I was, you know, as you can tell, I was born in Northern Ireland. I mean, we watched the news from no age. I remember being 4 or 5 years old watching the news, bombs going off in Belfast and various parts around the country. And you just kind of got on with it. Why do we feel we have to insulate ourselves from this? And why is it, you know, all about me and being so unbelievably stressful that something terrible is happening to other people in another country, which as you say, is of interest and is of concern and should be something we care about, but it doesn't actually affect how we live our day-to-day lives.
I think we've seen this before, though. I don't know whether you remember. I think it was at the height of the BLM protests when a bunch of essentially B&C-list celebrities in the US all got together and started singing some John Lennon song, I think it was, and made it completely about themselves. It was really...
I think it was Imagine, yeah.
Was it Imagine? And it felt really surreal. And I don't know whether you saw a couple of days ago an actress who I'd never heard of. I think she was called Anna Lynn McLeod or something.
Yeah, maybe she's never heard of you, Noah.
Yeah, well, that's true. But I think she's realised this is an avenue by which she could become incredibly famous. And on Twitter, posted a video of a poem that she'd written about how that if she was Putin's mother, none of this would have been happening. And it was the most self-indulgent thing.
Will you please send that to me on Twitter? Will you please send that to me, Noah?
Will.
Oh my goodness!
It's one of the worst things that I've seen on Twitter.
So cringy, so cringy. I mean, celebrities and people think it's all about me. It's not. Guess what? It's not. I am sitting in a nice warm studio in a perfectly safe city. You know, I have everything's fine. You know, there is no real risk from Vladimir Putin just at this exact moment. It's about the people of Ukraine and what they're going through. It's not about what we're going through, because we're not going through very much, basically. Noah, thank you so much for your thoughts on that. That's Noah Khogali. He's a political commentator with Young Voices UK, joining us today. Just taking a few minutes there just to think about this sort of absolute nonsense in regard to how this is all about us. It's not all about us. It really isn't.